Welcome back to another episode of the Engineering Future Podcast. I have Nicolai here with me. We're going to be talking about coaching, the importance of coaching, and some of the benefits of finding a coach, even if you don't think you need one. Nicolai, do you want to just give us a quick overview of kind of your experience as an engineer? I know you have a coaching business as well, and some of the things that you are working on right now.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Definitely excited to be here and chat with you about coaching. I am a civil engineer. I am a transportation project engineer here
Mhm.
in Tempe, Arizona. I also help manage the small company that I work at, and as the office manager, just making sure things are flowing well. But yeah, I graduated from ASU 14 years ago. It's crazy how quickly it goes by. I mean, it goes by real fast,
Mhm.
but it's a lot of fun. And as you mentioned, I started EngineerYOU, which is my leadership development company, uh, and where we do some coaching. And it started as a financial coach. I have a whole separate financial story. Actually, I was on your podcast before we talked about the financial story,
Yeah.
and that led me to wanting to help people through financial issues and help them with budgeting and coach them through some things. And so I started as a financial coach, and has been great because I've been able to work with so many people, and I just love it. But then that love for coaching turned into, well, early career development is kind of a space that doesn't get a lot of attention, and there's so many life skills, professionalism skills that you don't really learn in college. You will struggle and you'll learn them along the way, but why isn't there somebody or more people helping these young professionals really just walk through college to career and walk alongside them for the first few years? So I expanded EngineerYOU into that, where it's really more early career development. Focus a lot on self. One of the programs focus a lot on self and habits and disciplines, and really getting a firm foundation for yourself, because who wants to follow a leader who can barely handle their own stuff?
Mhm.
And so we really do that first, and then that hopefully will allow them to be molded and grow into strong leaders when they finally have that position that looks like a leader. You know what I mean? It has a title that comes with some power. So that's kind of
Mhm.
what I do. It's been a great ride over the last few years, and able to meet people like you and other people in similar spaces has been a lot of fun, and it's been great.
Yeah, and I think that that's just great to hear because again, feel like I said this in most episodes of the podcast, but as engineers, we all usually think of someone that is behind a computer just crunching numbers and don't really have anything beyond that. But like people like you and other people that I've been on the podcast and that I know of have really expanded what they do beyond just engineering work, which I think is it's amazing. Something I'm passionate about, obviously, with the podcast, with coaching services, with courses and stuff that is coming up. And it's always great to hear that. I mean, you didn't start and wanted to do that full time, but also slowly with time you have been progressing, finding new people to help, and always focusing on helping others first. I think that's one of the things that you have like transmitted even in the previous episode that we recorded. Just that willingness to help other people. I think that's amazing. I just want to hear a little bit more of like why did you wanted to start helping others through coaching, through some of the things you do with engineering you, and maybe some of that like behind the scenes story of how everything kind of came to be.
Sure. No, I will try to condense it as much as I can, but really, I graduated from college and I just felt very lost and stumbled through it. Learned the hard way, unfortunately, on a few things. And I mean, granted, nothing was catastrophic, but I mean, if I had a little bit of a more of a guide, would have been great.
Hmm.
Luckily, in my mid 20s, I found a great mentor. Well, actually, I found a couple great mentors, and then I actually worked with a real life coach. His name was Dean, and he was great. He helped me learn about goals. He helped me learn about priorities. He helped me learn about time management, and kind of set the course from there. I mean, without him, I don't think I'd be where I am now.
Hmm.
Definitely would not probably be helping people, or at least as many people as I'm able to help now. But he really just helped me set that foundation. But a lot of that was self discovery as well. I had to learn about myself. I had to learn about what makes me tick. What do I live for? What do I get excited about?
Yep.
And I mean, you and I have had conversations, but I get pumped if I have any opportunity to work with somebody, talk with somebody, share some experience with them, ask them questions, because I can zoom out 30,000 feet because they're just kind of stuck in a small difficult situation, but I'm not tied to it, so I can kind of see a little bit broader and start asking them those questions to help them discover maybe some of the steps that they want to start taking to get out of or move forward on whatever's causing them to be stuck. Um, Oh my gosh, I'm pumped. Like it just lights me up. But I mean, through the life coaching that I did, and then eventually I did some business coaching as well. I worked with a business coach, and it just really helps guide me through. So I mean, I've worked with coaches on my own, and then relied on those mentors, those lifelong mentors that I've had, and especially through adulthood, that have just really helped guide me to be where I am. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great. And you're mentioning mentors and coaches. What are some of the difference between the two? Have they have mentor quite a bit of students and kind of help other people, kind of formally and informally? Now, kind of coaching people. What's the difference between coaching and mentoring in your perspective?
sure, that's a great question. They're very similar in my opinion. I mean, there's even some overlaps, but the primary difference that I see is a mentor typically is a longer relationship,
Mhm.
and it's more of like focused on development. It's not like a specific I need to reach this goal or I need to do this. It's more of just like in general, I want to be a better worker, or in general, I want to do this better. And you bring somebody into your life or ask somebody into your life to mentor you and guide you and ask them, what did you do? And you are asking the mentor questions, and hoping that their experience will resonate with you, or you can kind of pivot based on what you hear from them, pick and choose what you like. Whereas coach is primarily very focused, very performance driven. I need to hit this goal. I need to hit this specific marker or go to this specific place or increase something specific this way. And then the coach is the one asking more questions of you as the coach than
Mm.
to the coachee. So when I think of it, that's kind of how I see it. But I struggle. So there are some coaches, and there's formal training, there are certifications that are really important. Um, there are some coaches that they talk about, oh, I can coach anybody. They might be a civil engineer and they can coach an artist. And I'm
Mhm.
sure that's true, but as an engineer who really, I don't know about you, but getting a PE, EIT, all those certifications are very important. So I put so much kind of emphasis on that, and so I feel like if you haven't walked in my shoes before, it would be hard to really have that relationship. But there are really great certifications that allow coaches to learn how to do it well. I just that's where I kind of see some overlap and some struggles with coaches. But what about
Yeah.
you? Do you see something different? Do you have similar thinking?
No, I think that's exactly what I was thinking when I was kind of brainstorming the idea of, okay, I know I want to help more people. The podcast is great. I have great conversations. I bring amazing guests, and we talk every week about just a variety of topics. I see the podcast as a way of learning some of these maybe broader concepts in leadership, in business development, in finance, and all of these different things. But at the end of the day, I like to focus on just a few things that I know well, and I feel confident in doing. Um, so one of the things that I'm doing, just to tell you here for coaching, are resume. I switched jobs like 3 or 4 times in the past like 5 years, so I had to do a lot of resumes, a lot of submitting resumes and everything. With that comes cover letter, making sure complements your resume, and doing all the things that you need to lay out to get that interview that we all want to get. Some PE and FE prep. I'm a lot. I'm big on like learning and studying and different techniques and everything. Uh, that came also with the course that we're putting out together for free. And with that, I think that's kind of the foundation of the things that I want to be doing for coaching in terms of helping other people. Those are just based on my experience in the recent past, and knowing that those topics are really popular. among civil engineers and engineers in general, as well as just having a another like few time slots for more broad topics like career development, like where do you want to be in 5 years? Are you looking to transition careers? Are you looking to switch jobs? And maybe what does that look like? So exploring those things that may not come easy to some people, and it didn't come easy to me when I was starting as an immigrant and as a minority and all of that stuff. I had to learn most of these by myself and with mentors and coaches as well. So this is kind of my way of giving a closer look at some of the things I've learned, as well as giving a more direct contact with people to help them get that access, that information, and hopefully change their careers totally.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I've gotten to know you now the last year or so, and
Mhm.
it's been great to kind of see you step into the coaching role, and now the program you're putting together. And I was impressed with what I saw, when I was able to review it, and I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, and again, yeah, thank you. I mean, we chat every week, and it's been great to kind of follow your journey, because I think that's one of the things I realized when we really started talking maybe November last year. I don't remember exactly, is that I could be doing a lot more in terms of like helping other people. Like podcast is great. It seems a little passive, just people listen and hopefully they take action. But coaching is where it really everything kind of comes together. All the knowledge that I've been able to gather in the past few years, and just have a more direct just coaching session with someone. I think that's been amazing, and hopefully a lot of people take advantage of that opportunity, and hopefully I can help some people. Um, some of the things we wanted to talk about also was what is the role of a coach outside of work. I know in our company we have mentors that kind of guide us through the first year 2 years of work, but it's kind of hard to really communicate some of the things that we're thinking. Maybe we have some issues that are maybe some sensitive issues that are hard to discuss kind of within the company. Where does the coach kind of play a role in that situation?
Yeah, so I applaud companies who have internal mentor programs. I think it's awesome, and I hope young and older engineers take advantage of it. I mean, we could have a whole conversation about the benefit of being a mentor, but
Mhm.
I think it's great that companies have programs like that. But I also think it's helpful to have a coach outside of your firm, because there may be something, especially if you're getting career coaching or you're getting, specifically to what you're doing inside of your company, getting coached on that, or you're trying to make improvements on that. Because let's say you may be having a difficulty or a conflict, or something that you're out of alignment, or just something doesn't feel right. It would be really hard to talk to your boss or your mentor or whoever has been kind of assigned to you about that problem. You
Mhm.
might try to sugarcoat it or not be as clear, or you're not opening up as much as you would in a coaching session with somebody outside of your company. So sometimes that can be really helpful. With engineering you, I just got an email from one of the managers this week that somebody I've been working with the last 5 months. They went
Mhm.
through. They're going through my program. They're almost done. And this manager basically said, Nikolai, thank you so much. I have seen a noticeable improvement in his work, but I've also seen a lot of improvement in the joy of doing his work. That was like so cool for me to see. I mean, I'm glad that his productivity has improved, and I'm glad that what he is doing and connecting with his manager has improved. But to see that the manager has seen like a spark of joy come back to this individual doing his work, oh my gosh, you better know I celebrated that night with a Dairy Queen Blizzard, because like that was just so exciting for me to see that. But that individual was able to kind of share some of the difficulties that he might have, and we've just been walking through it over the last 5 months. So I don't know. I see a benefit of working with somebody outside of your office.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree. I mean, I've done that in the past, and like I said, I've switched jobs like 3 times in the past 4 or 5 years, which is a lot of changes and transitioning and adjusting to new roles and everything. Uh, but having that outside perspective of a mentor, a coach, someone that brings you into their world, their view of the career, because you may don't know you're being maybe underpaid or undervalued at your company, but that's all you know. You are at a company just kind of grinding and putting work out there. But once you talk with someone else, you realize that maybe you have like half vacation days that they do, or you are not in the right path of your career where you want to lead, and the goals that you have right now are not really the goals that you really want to pursue. So a coach can help you identify those challenges from outside perspective, give you the tools and strategies to realign your career, and ultimately just either continue with that company if that's what the person wants to be, and that's where the opportunities are, or ultimately just pivot and find a new career. I switched from buildings to bridges, which is a completely different career, and just finding where you really are value and have a passion to work there. That's another concept that kind of came. I did my annual review a couple of weeks ago, but that came during the review saying that I was emotionally invested in my work. And hopefully, a lot of people are actually emotionally invested in their work. Doesn't mean that they're overworking themselves and doing a lot of things beyond their capabilities, but they care about what they're doing, they enjoy what they're doing, and they're basically happy where they are right there.
Yeah. No, I think that's great.
So, what about some of the ways that students, younger engineers can really identify when they actually need a coach? Because I'm a firm believer that there's certain things that you don't really need a coach for. You can find a mentor, you can find information online. There's a lot of free information. When it's really a time where someone, a student, a younger engineer, is really in a place where they are ready to take that step and invest in their future and hire a coach.
Ooh, that's a tough one because it varies so much for every situation, I think. I would kind of think first on kind of maybe magnitude of what they're doing. So, how big of a goal are they trying to pursue? How much accountability do they need? When I think of financial coaching, people can go to the library and get a book, or go online and look at a million free blogs,
Mhm.
and do it themselves. And maybe that's all the bump, or that's all the motivation that they need, and they can handle it from there. And that's great. I was not that person, but I'm glad that there are other people who have the ability to do that and the discipline to do that. Or maybe you're a person who, okay, I can learn it, but I need more. Maybe I need to go through a class. So I'm going to go through like a 9 week class or a 10 week class, and I'm not going to get individual coaching. But as long as I can do this class, that will be enough for me. Maybe I like the homework; it breaks it up into bite-sized chunks. But then you go one step further, and you're like, I just need to go more. I need more individualized attention. I need more accountability. I need somebody to be, or I need to know that somebody is counting on me to do these actions, or they will tell me, hey, you didn't do it, so that added accountability. And that's where, as a financial coach, I would come in. I always think about even like a weight loss or going to the gym with a trainer. I can go read a book about weight loss. I could go to the gym with my friend or just by myself, or if I want the best results, maybe the fastest results, a very guided, structured. So coaching sessions are very structured. Mentoring is not as structured. It's more just kind of what comes up, and all of that. But
Mhm.
same thing with the trainer. If I want the best results, the fastest, sure, it's going to come with an investment. Trainers aren't cheap. Financial coaching isn't that cheap, but you're going to go further, faster, and hopefully even stronger than if you were to go it alone. But
Mhm.
I think it all depends on kind of the magnitude of from what here to there you're going. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what I would answer. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
Well, I think that's true. The way I also see it is, again, there's a certain career path that you can take, and there is always that big boulder that is just in front of you that you don't seem to like figure out, like, how do I get past this problem, this challenge? And a coach can bring that different perspective to help you get over that. Something, again, I keep going back to studying for the P. I took the P last year, so that's kind of has consumed my past year just because it's an interesting topic and obviously very popular amongst civil engineers and engineers in general. But when I was starting to study, you've seen the AC courses, the PPI courses, all of those courses, they just come and give you, okay, these are the technical concepts that are going to be on the exam. and I took that as, okay, this is important to know right now, but when I get to the exam, I have all the materials available to me. It's going to be really easy to just look up and everything. But how am I really retaining the information to know where to look at certain concepts, certain equations, certain problem, and 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 really understand where that problem is coming from? And I think I just took some time at the beginning of my study session, my 3 month, 4 month long kind of session of studying for the exam, and tried to look at different techniques to really study for the exam, ways that I could reference in my brain. If the question was asking about, I don't know, beam moments in shear, I knew where to look at, what really needed to be done to answer that question, just because it's asking a tricky way to fit the exam restrictions and everything. But I think a coach kind of comes into that position, in that place where you know the material, you know kind of the general path to get there, but the coach, the person that is helping you get there, is going to teach you different techniques. They have practice, they have study, they have the overall knowledge to help you get there. They bring a different perspective of uh, asking questions, answering questions in a certain problem, looking at different opportunities in terms of a goal, and really coach you through those challenges as you kind of move towards that. And I think that's one of the things that you were mentioning is it's not like you just meet once and hopefully that's enough for the next 6 months. It's more like a, maybe you meet once a month, revisit the goals. And I'm a big believer that you set a goal and in 2 or 3 months you pivot and change the goal because things happen, life happens. So I think that's kind of where I see it. It's more of a structure path that a coach brings a different perspective than you may have. And it's just a way for you to really get clear of where you want to go, asking the right questions, and really be open to hearing what the coach has to say.
Yeah. No, I think that's all great. Actually, one more thing I just thought of is, I was talking about magnitude and like you're trying to go from here to there, and there's that stumbling block or that boulder. That's the thing that's preventing you from getting there on your own.
Mhm. Okay.
But then I remember a couple years ago, I think it was actually Facebook that actually produced a video about Tom Brady. It was like a multi-series thing, and we all know Tom Brady's a pretty great quarterback already. But there was a big chunk of that documentary or the series that talked about his coach. Like he still works with the quarterback coach, and we already know he's good, but he says he's just trying to constantly get that 1% better. And the coach is able to see things that maybe Tom isn't seeing himself. The coach is able to see things that where Tom Brady is moving in a way that the coach is like, wait, hold on, this is the way to do it better. And they're just making 1% improvements, but he sees the value of having that coach that can be outside of him and looking at what he's doing and providing feedback in that sense or in that case. So yeah, I mean, there's coaches that could be helpful in a lot of different scenarios for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of true. I mean, growing up, I played tennis, like really competitive tennis at a high level, and obviously had just a tennis coach, a fitness coach, a psychology coach, people around me that were kind of putting my pieces together and helping me basically get that over that performance plateau that you usually uh, find yourself in if you don't find a coach, or you may think you are at the highest performance you can be, but then you talk to someone else and they tell you, okay, maybe you're moving, you're swinging in a different way that you should be, hold the racket differently, train this way so you can leverage your speed when you're accelerating to get the ball. Things like that I think were fascinating, and I didn't appreciate it as much when I was growing up as a teenage boy trying to just get through school and finding tennis as a passion. Just the coaches were really there analyzing every single move that I was doing to help me just get to my peak performance and really help me just go beyond what I could was possible. So I think that's an obviously sports is a very common place where you find coaches. Maybe what are some of the other places where you find coaches? I mean, you coach people in finance,
Yeah.
obviously career and different aspects. What are some of the other ways that you can see coaches in?
I'm pretty sure you can probably find a coach in every area of life that you can think of. Uh, Areas that I see, maybe health health,
Hmm.
coaches, financial. I do the financial coaching and the career coaching. Um, Boy, I mean that's just kind of a huge area or a huge list we probably could be thinking of. I'm trying to think of some of the other coaches I've heard of. What about you? I feel like I'm blanking. What areas have you seen?
Yeah, I think there's just so many different coaches, but like I feel like for what I've seen, for I think that it will be helpful. I mean, I've seen like writing coaches, I don't know, podcasting coaches, basically anything you can think of. There's always someone there to help you in that process.
Yeah,
And a lot of times I feel like they're coaches and and they have the experience, and I think that's great. But more than anything, it's just bringing that different perspective to what you're doing, get like outside view of your work. And that kind of brings me back to just my day job as an engineer. Usually have someone else that reviews your work, looks after you, looks over your shoulder to make sure like the work that you're doing is fine. And I've a lot of times I just kind of stop doing calculations in the middle of a project when it's dragging too long, and I say like, just take a look at this. I've looked at this for too long. I don't know what's wrong. I know something is wrong. I just, here, take a look at this and let me know uh, what I need to fix. And I think that's kind of the view that I bring when you're trying to find a coach. You are working on a problem, you're trying to find that transition into a new career, you're applying to jobs, hundreds of resumes, you don't seem to get an answer. What are you doing wrong? Get that second perspective and find a way that you can leverage the things that the coach knows that you may not have seen because you're stuck in that pattern for months at a time, and that will help you kind of get over that boulder of that obstacle that we've been talking about.
yeah. Okay, so something else that came to mind after you mentioned a few of the other coaches is, so I think I mentioned I worked with a business coach. So when I started
Hmm.
here at this company I'm at, uh, I started working with a business coach that we worked on hiring and firing, how to set business goals. We talked about business expenses. It was about a
Hmm.
whole year long thing. I ended up stopping because it was pretty expensive.
Yeah.
It was group coaching, so that's another thing to think about is it individual coaching or group coaching? When I do financial coaching, it's pretty much personal one on ones because nobody wants to talk about their income and with a big group of people. But when I do my self leadership coaching or my emerging leaders program, that's all group. And
Yeah.
we're learning from each other. I have topics that we kind of try to stay inside of and kind of focus on that topic for the month. When I did the business coaching, that's kind of what we did. We every month a group of us, business owners or managers, went to this group and we had a topic where we kind of focused specifically on. And if we had some problems or difficulties or struggles, we could try to focus those questions around that particular topic of the month. But then we always reviewed our personal and professional goals and kept each other accountable. And I love both styles, but I actually probably prefer the group coaching. I don't know. I just that community,
Yeah.
knowing that I'm not the only one struggling through whatever I'm struggling with, or I'm not the only one that maybe hit a roadblock. Maybe my neighbor are like, oh, I just went through that 6 months ago, and they're not like telling me what to do, but they're kind of sharing what they did. And you learn from them, and like you just kind of take pieces of what you think will work best for you. So I think that's another thing to think about is, are you doing group coaching or individual coaching as well?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I honestly have just thought about just doing individual coaching for now, just kind of really help that person that is trying to study for an exam. But I think the important part is like after they kind of go through the session, the coaching session, especially for the PE and the FE exam. One of the things that I really believe in is just having that accountability. And obviously, when you're working with a coach directly, it's kind of hard for the one coach to really keep 10, 15, 20 people accountable. But what I've done is I created a Discord channel where people can join. There's a specific kind of category or channel for people that gone through the coaching sessions and are people that gone either to the exam or to the coaching session to really find other people that are studying for the exam, are basically invested in that mindset of, okay, I wanna find people that I can ask questions. Obviously the morning portion, the bread portion has transportation, has construction, structural engineering for like the civil engineering one, and obviously for other disciplines as well. So finding people that are not in the same field as you are, I think that's something I wish I had when I was taking the exam last year. And there's a lot of value in that because I was always struggling, like, how do I really solve this problem? And I didn't have someone else just because of the pandemic and courses and everything weren't available. But I wish I had someone that knew how to answer these simple questions and really ask the questions and kind of help me guide through those challenges. So I think right now I'm mainly focusing on just kind of having just one-on-one conversations, getting to know who I'm working with, and then there is an accountability after that. That kind of happens, I think, naturally through the Discord
Hmm.
server and other places.
Hmm. Interesting. I like it. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and again, that's kind of something that I wish I had done or had the opportunity to have when I was studying for the exam. It was a
Yeah.
lonely journey. They didn't have the AAC courses. Everything was kind of on hold with the pandemic, and I was just kind of by myself studying and didn't really have any outside accountability. So I wanna be the organizer or like the person that kind of brings some people together to find that accountability.
Hmm.
Um, what are some ways that you've seen and people you work with? Uh, the person that is getting the coaching, the student, the young engineer can really prepare to get the most out of that coaching session. Obviously, on your part as a coach, there's a lot of planning that goes behind the scenes. You have all the study the person, make sure you understand the problem that is going to be solved during the coaching session, and how can they on return really be prepared to just show up and really take action on all the goals they have.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, there's plenty of things you can do. If I were to just focus on one real quick, is probably the most important one, in my opinion, is be coachable. Like, I mean, you'd be surprised at how many people will try to be coached and they just put a wall up and they don't want to hear what you have to say. They don't want to answer your questions truthfully. They don't want to open up, and it's just like pulling teeth. And
Mhm.
so when I do my financial coaching, I have like a 15 to 30 minute consultation before. It's free. I mean, sometimes I can just help people right through that. But what they didn't know until now I'm sharing is I'm like evaluating that person to see if they're even coachable or not. And as much as I want to help people, I don't want to take somebody's money if all we do is stare at each other, for an hour. Or I don't want to, if they're not willing to be coached, if they're not willing to learn and be open to ideas, like I'm not serving them at all and they're not getting anything out of it. And so I just think they should wait until they're ready for that.
Yeah.
Uh, with my leadership training programs, I have had some managers because I typically try to get the managers to send some people through. I've had some managers like, oh well, I have the perfect person for you. You can fix him or you can fix her, and I'm like, hold on, that's not who we are looking for to be in these groups. Like we
Mhm.
are looking for people who are already making positive strides. We're just trying to go now further. We are trying to
Yeah.
improve. It's not about fixing people because those people don't want to be fixed necessarily. Might not be open to the coaching. So I really have to talk to the managers and say, like, this is who we are looking for in these groups because they will add more value to everybody else in the group. So if I were to say just one thing, it would be coachable. But if I were to add a couple more real quick, it would be, be ready to open up. Be very
Mhm.
specific with things that you want before you even have your session. And,
Yeah.
and a coach might send you a form that says, "Here, think about these things, fill out these things, fill out some goals." And that is not just for the coach, but you need to be starting to think about those things because your brain needs to be ready to talk specifically about those things. With a mentor, we kind of talked about this. It's a little bit more vague, and the mentee is the one asking all the questions. But a coaching session needs to be very structured, very direct to a specific thing that you want to be coached on, and that's just going to make that coaching session that much better.
Yeah, and I
I'm
think
sure
what you
there's more
said
you
is
can add.
exactly what I was thinking. Like the person just needs to be already on track to finding that goal. They have to have some direction. The coach is more that springboard that really takes them from where they are right now, where they want to be in 5 years or in the next 6 months. Uh, the coach is not there to really change, completely rewire uh, this person's brain and make them think that now they suddenly are amazing at work and they are super productive and they have all the career answers already figured out. The coach is more that springboard to help them that are already in that path and really take them where they really want to be in the future. um, do you have any last advice for people trying to find coaches? For me, as I kind of started working with people and teaching them some of the things that I've known and learned through podcasts, through experience, and really have these amazing opportunities just to help so many people. I'm just very excited about that.
If I were to give one last thing, I think it would be if you're on the fence about whether you want to do coaching or not, or if you're on the fence of like, I don't know if it's really going to help me or not, uh, get a referral from a friend, or do some Google research, do some investigation to see if you might like that person. Listen to their podcast so you can kind of learn about them, or read their blog so you kind of learn about their style. And if you start to connect with that style or connect with that person, typically coaches have free consultations, and it might be 15 minutes, it might be 30 minutes. But again, if you're on the fence, it doesn't hurt to just reach out
Yeah.
and give it a shot, and then see, man, that 30 minutes was really good. I think we can go a lot deeper. I know this person's going to help me go further than I thought I could go, or maybe I even think I can go at all. Like, they're going to help me dream bigger and think bigger, and really help give me some guidance and ask me questions to help me overcome some obstacles. But take advantage of those free consultations. I mean,
Hmm.
they're great, especially if you're on the fence. Just give it a try, and then
Yeah.
see how far it goes. That would probably be my last piece of advice for coaches or for students thinking, or young professionals thinking, man, will a coach help me or not?
Yeah, and I think that's true. And again, it comes back to kind of my experience as I kind of start this podcast and the things online. Like the beginning, the idea of starting something, of pursuing that bigger goal, is just so scary that you just want to keep it all to yourself and find all the answers in books, in articles, in just following people. But there's a point where you need to just look outside that box, outside that information that you've been gathering, to really improve tremendously. I've bought courses through my process of learning how to become better at podcasting. I've talked to hundreds of people, learned from coaches, from mentors, from a variety of different perspectives. And I think if you're willing to take the next step and find what you can do in your career, the investment is going to seem really small in 5-10 years when you're maybe making twice as much money as you're making right now, or your career is more fulfilling, or you're really accomplishing everything you really wanted to do. So the best time to start something was maybe 10 years ago. The second best time is to do it right now. So that's kind of where my motto in the past 2 years with the podcast and everything kind of been doing, as I drag it for longer than I would like to admit. So that's a great advice. Again, think Nikolai, I think that's all I have for today. I mean, again, you've been an amazing person that I've looked up to with everything you're doing with you. I just have one last question for you, and that's how can we continue engineering our future?
How to continue engineering our future?
Yeah.
Oh boy. I don't know. I my go-to, and you kind of touched on it, the best time to start was 10 years ago. The best time to start is now. I definitely am glad that I learned the mindset of where I am, who I am, what I'm doing, what I can afford, who I'm with 10 years from now. All is based on what I'm doing today.
Hmm.
So try to get that vision of what you see 10 years from now, what you want 10 years from now, and you just start reverse engineering it and start just setting small goals. Don't think these giant leaps are very, don't plan on those giant leaps, but just take small steps. And you look back 10 years from now and you're like, oh my gosh, look how far I've come. I mean, you'll look back a year from now and you'll be like, oh my gosh, look how far I've come. And it's just going to motivate you even more. But I'm
Right.
always of the mindset is my life 10 years from now is all determined in what I'm doing now. So that's how I would probably engineer our future.
Yeah, that sounds great. Where can people reach out to you, find your coaching services, find what you're doing online, just connect with you and really learn more about what you're doing?
Sure. So I have a website, EngineerYOU.org. You can reach me at Nicolai, Nicolai, at EngineerYOU.org via email. I have a contact form on my website. I have all the programs on there. If you're interested, I do most of my programs virtually, so people can join from pretty much anywhere they want. But yeah, primarily my website, my email is the best contact. I do have an Instagram, EngineerYOU360. Will self admit it's not the best account to follow, but just be as far as the consistency. But I mean, programs that's where I get my passion, or that's where my passion comes through, and that's where I just get fired up. Is working with people, in groups and individual coaching, and that's where I like to spend most of my time.
Yeah, that's great. And again, I'm telling you, you need to join Twitter. Join the Twitter community. I really enjoyed Twitter over Instagram, but obviously Instagram is a very powerful platform. I still use it, and it's just a great way to connect with a lot of people. Again, thank you so much for coming back to the episode. I think last episode was a lot of fun as well. We talked about finance, how you paid $140,000 in debt, and now have you own like financial coaching and helping other people with similar things. So I think that's a great story. If you want to go back, listen to that episode, and reach out to Nicolai. He's always willing to help and really assist you in anything you want. So again, thank you so much for coming back to the podcast, and it was just a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much.